بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the Fiqh class. Today, inshallah, we will discuss the book of bathing, Kitab al-Ghusl. And we finished talking about wudu. So now we will discuss the issues that are related to ghusl. And because ghusl is less used compared to wudu, we don't have more issues. Actually, we have less issues here. And that's why also it is mentioned later after the book of wudu. In Arabic, we have two terms, mash and ghasl. Or mash is wiping, when you wipe your hand. But ghasl is what? What's the difference between mash and ghasl?
Well, you actually wipe with your wet hands.
Okay, you wipe with your wet hands.
And the other one is where you actually pour the water and the water flows.
Pour the water. So ghasl is the flowing of the water. That's the difference between mash and ghasl. So when we say wash your feet, what's the meaning? If I only put my hand and I wipe, is that sufficient? There has to be flowing of water. That's the ghasl. The first issue that scholars discussed or differed about in the chapter of ghusl is running the hands over the body. Now when you are doing wudu, what do? You run your hand, right? You cannot just flow the water because there has to be areas are not washed. What do? You run your hand. What about ghusl? You want to wash your body. Do you have to run your hand over your entire body? Yes. Why? To ensure the washing of that area. Can you reach all parts of your body with your hand? Yes? Is not necessary. Why? Why not necessary?
As long as the body parts are covered in water.
As long as that's the issue. Some say no, it has to be necessary. So we have basically two opinions. The majority of scholars, that's the opinion of the majority, that there is no need for running the hand, for the massage. Imam Malik rahimahullah said that it is a condition. Why? Why you say it is not necessary and others say no, it is necessary? There are two reasons for this disagreement. The first, the meaning of ghusl itself. The meaning of ghusl itself. Does it include running or not? Or is running the hand stipulated, or flow of the water, the mere flow of the water is enough to call this ghusl? This is the first reason. The second reason of disagreement is the conflicting ahadith. Now we have few ahadith. In some of them, it mentions only the flowing of the water. Like hadith Salama radiallahu anha. She asked the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do I have to untie my hair? What did he tell her? No, it is enough just to splash the water. So this also, they said, this is applied to the entire body. Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha, she described the ghusl of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he performed just wudu first, and then he continued with ghusl. So you understand from it that if he started with wudu and continued with ghusl, that he also ran his hand, because he started with the actions of wudu. Then he continued with actions of ghusl. So ghusl is just like wudu, the same actions, you have to run your hand, but the difference is, in wudu it is specific limbs, now it is the entire body. Another hadith also, which could be an evidence for Imam Malik rahimahullah, and it is in both Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ used to perform wudu with mud, the amount of mud. Do you know the mud? The 2 handfuls. This is the mud. وَيَغْتَسِلُ بِالصَّعِ, and he used to perform ghusl with sa'. Sa' is 4 handfuls. You could say half gallon. That's the sa'. 4 handfuls. How much can you collect of water in your handful? 4 times.
4 cups. Just a cup goes in hand. Going to 1 cup in your hand.
Yeah. Almost a cup, right? So 4 cups, this is half gallon, or more or less, right? Can you flow half gallon over your body? Definitely not. Then how the Prophet ﷺ was performing ghusl? This is in both Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. So it means there has to be what? Running. Why? Because when you run your hand, what happens? You don't consume that much water. So is running the hand condition or not? How? It's you change the opinion. No. You cannot do that. You go against the majority. Why? Why you change the opinion? Why you change the opinion?
Because if he used
half gallon,
sa', that's a very little bit of water.
Yeah.
And that was enough for a ghusl.
Yeah, that means running the hand is condition. Okay. Here comes the majority of scholars, and they say, we don't argue with this. If the amount of water is as little as 1 gallon, a half gallon, we agree. If that's the amount, because there is no other way, you have to do ghusl. But if the amount is too much, we say no. And that's, I believe, the correct opinion. Because there is no evidence that you have to rub your hands over your body. Let's read the issue.
Is there any specific hadith where the Rasul stated that he actually rubbed his hand? I mean, it's implied in the hadith of Aisha.
Yeah, he rubbed his hand. Yeah, and he started with his right side and then with his left side. But these actions, do they mean that it is mandatory or it is recommended? They say, the majority say it is recommended. But if you are in a case where you only have half gallon, then it becomes mandatory, not because it is mandatory, but because there is no other way to wash your entire body except for that way. We don't argue with this. This is out of question. The question is, when you have enough water, do you have to run your hand? The majority say no. So let's read the issue from the book, page 44. Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Identification of the acts of this category of purification. There are 4 issues related to this chapter. Issue 1. Running the hand over the entire body. The jurists disagreed over whether running the hand over the entire body, in other words, massaging the skin while water is running over it, is a condition for this purification, as is the case in the purification of limbs while performing ablution.
Okay, so we have 2 opinions. Move to the next paragraph. The reason for disagreement.
The reason for disagreement is the equivocality of the term ghusl and the conflict of...
Okay, so this is the first reason. equivocality of the term ghusl. Does it mean flowing of the water and running the hands, or it is only running the flowing the water?
And the conflict of the apparent meaning of the tradition related about the description of bathing with the analogy of bathing based upon ablution. In the established traditions relevant to the subject of the Prophet's bath, and which are related through Aisha and Maymuna, there is no mention of massaging the body. They only mention the flowing of water over it. In the tradition of Aisha, she says when the Messenger sallallahu, peace and blessings be upon him, took a bath after sexual engagement, he would first wash his hands. He then poured water from his right hand over to the left hand, with which he washed his genitals. Then he performed a minor ablution like he did for his regular daily prayers. Thereafter, taking up water, he would insert his fingers down to the roots of his hair and pour 3 handfuls of water over his head. Finally, he would let water flow over his entire body. The description given in the tradition of Maymuna is similar to this.
Okay, what you need to know always when we read any issue, you need to know the opinions, the reason of disagreement, and if there are hadith, how they try to derive the ruling from the hadith. That's the fiqh. If you have 2 hadith, just as I told you, like this hadith, 1 sa', half gallon. So you directly say then it is condition. Isn't there another answer? There is. And that's your job. How? Otherwise, every time you hear a new hadith, you'll say, okay, that's the opinion. You change. Then another hadith, then you change opinion. You cannot do this. You read all the hadith and you try to reconcile between them.
The description given in the tradition of Maymuna is similar to this, except that here he delayed washing his feet up to the end of the purification. In the tradition of Salama too, when she asked the Prophet ﷺ whether she should undo her plaits while bathing after sexual engagement, the Prophet ﷺ said, "It is enough if you splash over your head 3 handfuls of water. Then let them flow over yourself, and with that you are purified."
What does that mean? Did it mention anything about rubbing the hands? No. So is it condition? What if this is only for women? Can you say that? Is there distinction between men and women? No. So again, do you believe that running the hands is a condition or not? There is no straight evidence that it is a condition. That's why it is the opinion of the majority. So this is the first issue that we have. The next issue is the intention. When you want to perform ghusl, do you need intention? And this is the example. You were swimming, you went to the ocean, to the sea, you swam and you went, and then you heard the call for the prayer. You said, "Oh, Alhamdulillah, I was just swimming and I washed my body." Can you perform salah based on the ghusl that you performed without intention, that you were swimming? Can you pray or you cannot? You can. That's not the opinion of the majority of scholars. That's the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Majority of scholars said you have to have the intention. Just like wudu. Now again, when you build the foundation, all similar issues will be the same. Just like wudu. What did we say in wudu? We have 2 opinions. Opinion of the majority and the opinion of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. What's the reason for disagreement? The majority said this is ibadah. It requires intention because the actions are not rationalized. Others say no, the actions are rationalized. So the difference between them is the difference either ghusl or wudu is mere ibadah or it is actions that are understood. According to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, it is ibadah. So you don't need intention. Once you do it, that's it. according to the majority of scholars, said no, you have to have the intention. Again, we discussed this earlier in the chapter of wudu. So it is the same opinions and the same reasons for this agreement. So we don't need to read it again. Actually, even in the book, it's only few lines because it was repeated. It was mentioned earlier. Now it is only repeated. The next issue. Rinsing of the mouth and snuffing up water. مضمضة والاستنشاق. Do you have to do مضمضة and istinshaq or not? Yes or no? Again, the same issue we discussed in wudu. How many opinions did we have? 3. One opinion says both of them are required. Another opinion says both of them are recommended, not required. One opinion says rinsing the mouth is required, not snuffing or flushing the nose. Why? I won't repeat it. We already took it. If you already forgot, that's a problem. The next issue, the continuous and sequential performance. Let's say you started from your head. You washed your head. Then you were busy. You called someone or someone called you. And then you came back after half an hour and you washed only your body without your face. Is that accepted? Is this ghusl accepted, or they have to be continuous in the same action and the same sequence? Again, the same thing, just like wudu. In wudu, can you start with your feet before your face? No. So it is the same here. So if someone was standing upside down on his hands and lifting his legs, and he turned on the shower, so he started with his feet, and then his body, and then his head. Is that accepted? Is that accepted or not? Why? Why not? He needs only to wash himself, and he washed himself.
He's going to be careful.
Let's read the issue. Page 46.
Continuous and sequential performance. They disagreed on whether a condition for this category of purification...
What category we're talking about? Ghusl.
A condition for this category of ghusl is continuous and sequential performance, as was their disagreement in the case of minor ablution.
Which is wudu.
The reason for disagreement is whether the acts of the Prophet ﷺ are to be construed as obligatory or recommended. It has not been transmitted from the Prophet ﷺ that he ever performed ablution except in an ordered and sequential manner. A group of jurists held that sequence in this category of purification ghusl is more pertinent than it is in the minor ablution with respect to the head and the rest of the body because of the words of the Prophet ﷺ. In the tradition of Salama, it is enough for you that you splash over your head 3 handfuls of water and then let water flow over your body.
So that's the basis of the opinion that says you have to start in sequence, which means you cannot start with your feet, wash them, and then you wash your face, your head. Why? Because of the hadith of Salama. He told her to start with her head, and then thumma. Thumma in Arabic means what? Sequence. It's not your choice. Thumma means that's how you start first, and then you do this. So actually they say it is more important and it's more than wudu. And the other evidence, just like analogy on wudu, you cannot do the actions not in order, so the same thing in ghusl.
The conjunction particle thumma then implies sequence without dispute according to the
lexicologists. Lughawiyin. Okay. So these are the issues that they disagreed about in regards to ghusl. Basically, what are the pillars? What do you have to do to perform ghusl? Intention, according to the majority. Then what? You wash your head. Then you wash your entire body. Do you have to perform wudu? No. Yeah. Many things are recommended. You start with the right side. Hadith Salama is the best hadith because it makes everything easy. Everything is easy. Yes, that's it. But you make sure that it is on your entire body. Okay, so these are the issues of ghusl. Now, the next issue we have is the nullifications, the factors that nullify ghusl. What invalidates ghusl? The first thing we have the intimate relations. Obligation of purification after cohabitation. Someone had sexual intercourse with his wife, but there was no seminal discharge. Does he have to perform ghusl? Why? Yeah, so what? You need an evidence. What's the evidence?
Something like when the two circumcised parts meet each other, then it goes to the obligatory.
Yes, that's the evidence. إذا مس الختان الختان فقد وجب الغسل. When the two circumcised part or when the two circumcised members meet, then ghusl becomes mandatory. Then what do you say about another hadith? إنما الماء من الماء. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked, I had intimate relations, but I did not have any seminal discharge. And the Prophet ﷺ told him, you use the water only when you have seminal discharge. إنما الماء من الماء. That's one of the concise hadith of the Messenger ﷺ, because many means also water. In Arabic, ma, it means many also. So the Prophet ﷺ told him, you use water only when you have many. What do you say about this hadith?
What did he say? What did he say?
If someone had sexual relation but he did not have any discharge.
He said sexual relation, or he said something else?
No, sexual relations.
Authentic hadith?
Yeah, it is authentic. It is authentic.
When was that said? At the beginning?
When was that? Here, when you have contradiction, then you need to see, is there difference of times? And the answer is yes. That was a permission. And that's why actually this issue is not even a big issue. Why? Because all four Imams agreed on the ruling. All four Imams agreed that you have to have ghusl because of the authentic hadith. When the two members, the two circumcised parts, and the other hadith إذا جلس بين شعابها الأربع ثم جهدها فقد وجب الغسل. If he sat in her between her four parts, then penetrated, then the ghusl becomes mandatory. That's why scholars agreed on this issue. Only very few scholars. And actually the disagreement is not even regarded in this issue. All four imams agreed on it. There are some cases where you have authentic hadith, but it was abrogated.
So this hadith, we understand it to be what? How do you understand this hadith you mentioned? It's abrogated?
Yeah, it is abrogated, yes. Just like the hadith of touching the private part. Let's read from the book. Issue 1. Page 47.
Obligation of purification after cohabitation. The companions, may Allah be pleased with them, disagreed about the obligation of purification following cohabitation. Some of them said that the purification is obligatory after contact of the genitals, irrespective of the occurrence of ejaculation. This is upheld by the majority of the jurists of the provinces. Malik, his disciples, Ash-Shafi'i, his disciples, and a group of the Zahiris. Another group of the Zahiris maintained the obligation of purification in case of coition only. The reason for their disagreement over this issue stems from the conflict of relevant traditions, for there are two established traditions whose authenticity is agreed upon by the traditionists. The Qadi Ibn Rushd said, "When I say established, I mean it by a tradition recorded by Al-Bukhari or Muslim."
Yeah. This is, now it's important when you read any book to know the terms that he uses. Like when he says established. It's not only established like authentic, but it is in Al-Bukhari or Muslim or both.
Or that is recorded by both. One of these is the tradition of Abu Hurairah from the Prophet ﷺ, who said, "If he places himself between the four parts of a woman, joining his genitals with hers, bathing becomes obligatory." Okay,
did it mention anything about discharge? No. So once you do this, then ghusl becomes mandatory. Next.
The second tradition is from Uthman when it was said to him, "What do you think of the man who cohabits with his wife but does not ejaculate?" He replied, "He is to perform the minor ablution like he does for prayers."
So what do you understand from this hadith? Does he have to do ghusl? No. But how you reconcile? Here comes the fiqh. Look what happened. What did the jurists do? Read.
The jurists were divided into two opinions about these traditions. The first is based upon abrogation, while the second follows what is agreed upon in case of conflict, when neither preference nor reconciliation is possible. The majority maintain that Abu Hurairah's tradition abrogates that of Uthman. Their argument is based upon what is related by Ubay ibn Ka'ab, who said the Messenger of Allah ﷺ granted concession in the early days of Islam, but later ordered bathing. So
there is a clear statement from a companion that it was what? A permission. It was a concession. So it is abrogated.
It is recorded by Abu Dawud, those who held that the conflict...
It is recorded by Abu Dawud. Stop. And then continue because it will...
Oh. It is recorded by Abu Dawud. Those who held that the conflict between these two traditions cannot be resolved through reconciliation or by preference maintain that recourse to what is agreed upon becomes necessary, which is the obligation of purification upon ejaculation. The majority preferred Abu Hurairah's tradition on the basis of analogy, saying that as consensus has occurred on the point that the contact of the genitals invokes the had penalty.
Yes, another opinion, another evidence, not only the hadith, but also analogy. What analogy? How we apply the punishment of zina. How can we consider someone committed adultery? By ejaculation or by the mere penetration. Someone was seen committing zina, and he said, no, don't punish me. I did not ejaculate. All scholars agreed that he is to be punished. So if he is to be punished, then why not the same thing? But that's not the only evidence. You take it as supporting evidence. The evidence is the hadith. Yes?
I don't recall, but the reason for the had punishment is not based on ijma. There is some evidence for that, right? That why the scholar said that the witness has to see he has to see the private part.
Yeah.
There is evidence for that, right? Or there is specific evidence for that.
Yeah. You have to see that it was inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah.
That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Yeah. Okay, so this issue is clear now. The next issue we have is the seminal discharge invoking purification. Now, someone had a discharge. Does he have to perform ghusl? Seminal discharge. Does he have to perform ghusl? Yes or no? Yes. What if he was struck and because of that strike he had this discharge? The seminal discharge. Does he have to perform ghusl? Hello? Is it the mere discharge or the pleasure? That's what scholars differed about. And therefore we have two main opinions. Opinion of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah is what? You have to perform ghusl, regardless of the state, how you discharged the semen. While Imam Malik rahimahullah says, it has to be accompanied with lustful pleasure. Without pleasure, you don't do ghusl. Because it could be just like sickness. Just like the woman who's bleeding, mustahada. Although it could be the same blood, but she doesn't have to do ghusl. So what do you think is stronger? Which opinion is stronger? It must be accompanied by pleasure. If you woke up from your dream and you saw moisture, the bed is wet, your clothes are wet, and it was the semen, do you perform ghusl or not? Why? You don't recall any pleasure. You don't even remember what happened, you just saw this. Is there stipulation or not? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. No, that's discharge from Ali radiallahu anhu. It was not the seminal discharge. That's what we're talking about, the semen. There's difference between many and madi. So what do you think is the stronger opinion? Once you have the discharge. That's actually what is nearer according to the texts. Because when the Prophet ﷺ said, whenever you have discharge, you perform ghusl. He did not say with pleasure. Although some scholars say janaba, the term janaba, does it mean the mere discharge or the discharge that was with pleasure? So these are the reasons of disagreement. And let's read it from the book. Again, the same page 48. The jurists differed.
The jurists differed about the condition of seminal discharge that gives rise to the obligation of major purification. Malik took it into account when accompanied by lustful pleasure, while Al-Shafi'i said that mere emission leads to the obligation of purification, irrespective of accompanying sensual pleasure. There are two reasons for their disagreement. The first is whether the term junub, being in a state of major ritual pollution, is also applicable to the one who is involved in this way, though not in the normal manner. Those who held that it applies to only one who has become ritually polluted in the normal manner did not require purification upon seminal discharge, unaccompanied by pleasure. Those who held that it applies to seminal discharge, whatever the manner, made purification obligatory because of it, even when unaccompanied by pleasure.
Okay.
The second reason is the similarity of emission without pleasure with the blood of the irregularly bleeding woman. They disagreed whether the flow of such blood should give rise to the obligation of purification. We shall mention this in the chapter.
Yeah, this will come later, but is the qiyas here valid? Like they say, if a woman is mustahaba, the flow of blood is still the same, but she doesn't have to do ghusl. Why then, when in the case of man, you have to do ghusl? Why? What hadith? The second opinion is also strong, but I still believe the first one is stronger. Because if you say this person is sick, out of sickness, that's why he discharged many. And the woman, when she is discharging blood, she doesn't have to do ghusl. Although it's the same blood like menstruation. It's mustahada, right? Yeah. It's not the same blood. It is blood, right? No, sometimes it is the same. It continues the same blood for 20 years, for 20 days. So you ask her to stop as she used to stop earlier. 7 days, that's it. You stop for 7 days. Although it is the same blood. Later, what do you tell her? She doesn't have to do ghusl. Because this blood is blood of sickness. Why not the same thing? So that's the qiyas. But again, the hadith did not stipulate the condition of how you discharge. Especially when you're having a wet dream. Prophet ﷺ told Salama, if you only see the moisture, you see the wet of the bed, that's it. So these are the issues for today, inshallah. We will stop here. Is there any questions? Both of them are strong, but again, you need always to look for all the evidences, not only one evidence. You look to all evidences and you try to see which one is stronger. Any questions? Can we not use the hadith water for water in this case? Yes, that's also supporting evidence. إنما الماء من الماء. But that's contradicted. This hadith is contradicted, because if we say إنما الماء من الماء, then the one who has sexual intercourse with his wife does not have to perform ghusl while he has. Any other questions? Well, it's difficult if you use the hadith for only one case and you say for the other case, it is difficult, but it's still, maybe you say, yeah, this is a particular case. Now, if you see a dream and you don't see any discharges, but you still remember pleasure, do you perform ghusl? No. So ghusl is related to what? To the discharge. You may say, yes, this is a specific hadith. Yeah. Okay. That's the end. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى صحبه أجمعين.